Most people don't reject instant manifestation because it sounds impossible. They reject it because accepting it would dismantle everything they were taught about effort, time, and control. From the moment we are young, we learn a single story, that reality moves slowly, that progress must hurt, that if something arrives quickly, it must be fake, unearned, or unstable. So when someone hears that reality can respond immediately, the mind tightens. Not out of logic, but out of conditioning. Here is the part that feels unsettling when you really look at it. Reality itself is not slow. It only appears slow when the one observing it is internally divided. The quantum field does not measure time the way humans do. It does not wait for discipline. It does not reward persistence. It does not negotiate with motivation. It responds to coherence. And coherence is not something you accumulate over weeks or years. It is either present now or it is not. This is where manifestation quietly breaks for most people. They assume power comes from intensity, from wanting harder, from visualizing longer, from repeating affirmations with emotional force. But intensity without alignment creates distortion, not influence. A loud signal that carries mixed frequencies never becomes dominant. From a quantum perspective, reality organizes itself around the most stable signal being emitted. Not the most emotional one, not the most desperate one, the most consistent one. When desire is mixed with urgency, fear, self-pressure, or doubt, the signal fragments. And fragmented signals do not create new outcomes. They reinforce familiar ones. This is why so many people say they have been manifesting for years with nothing to show for it. Not because they lack belief, not because they lacked effort, but because they were internally split. One part of them wanted the outcome. Another part was preparing for disappointment. Another part was trying to control the timing. Another part feared who they would have to become once it arrived. Reality mirrors internal disagreement with precision. Instant response only appears when that disagreement dissolves. Neuroscience explains this in a way that is almost uncomfortable in its simplicity. The nervous system does not respond to desire. It responds to safety. If the body is operating in chronic stress, hypervigilance, or survival mode, it will slow everything down. Perception narrows. Opportunities are filtered out. Action becomes delayed, not as punishment, as protection. So when people say manifestation takes time, what they are actually describing is regulation. The time it takes for the nervous system to feel safe enough to allow reality to reorganize. Time is not the cause, stability is. This is why two people can want the same outcome and experience completely different speeds of manifestation. One is internally settled, neutral, unclenched. The other is emotionally charged, attached, intense. The field responds to the first with little resistance. The second encounters detours, delays, and friction. Not because the universe prefers one, but because only one is not interfering. Instant manifestation is not about forcing reality to comply. It is about removing the internal conditions that block response. When resistance softens, response becomes natural. When emotional noise quiets, coherence sharpens. And when coherence sharpens, probability collapses cleanly. This threatens identities built on effort because it suggests something radical. That pushing harder was never the solution. That control is not power. Spiritually, this echoes what mystics have whispered for centuries. The moment grasping ends, arrival begins. The moment chasing stops, alignment appears. Without structure, this sounds poetic and vague, but neuroscience and quantum mechanics give it form. When the observer stops oscillating internally, the system stabilizes. When the system stabilizes, the field responds. Not magically, mechanically. This does not mean inaction. It means movement that emerges from clarity instead of urgency, desire without attachment, certainty without noise, and certainty is quiet. Instant manifestation feels rare because true internal silence is rare. Most people are broadcasting contradictions without noticing, wanting and doubting at the same time, trusting and controlling at the same time, asking and bracing at the same time. Reality can only respond to one signal. This is why the most effective manifestors never look intense. They look calm. They speak little about what they want. They do not convince. They do not wait anxiously. They move when it is obvious. They pause when it is not. Their power is not in effort. It is in the absence of resistance. And once you truly understand this, instant response stops sounding mystical. It starts sounding inevitable. When you truly understand why effort often slows manifestation, an old belief begins to unravel quietly inside you. The belief that trying harder is always the answer. Effort itself is not the problem. Misalignment is. When inner coherence is present, effort naturally decreases. Movement still happens, decisions are still made, actions still unfold. But there is no friction in them. They feel self-generating, as if the next step reveals itself without strain. From a quantum standpoint, the field does not respond to effort at all. It responds to the integrity of the signal being broadcast. When emotion interferes with that signal, when fear, anticipation, or self-pressure distort it, response fragments, delays appear, outcomes blur. This is not a system of reward or punishment. Reality is not assessing worthiness. It is reacting to information quality. Most people weaken their own signal without realizing it. They want an outcome, yet emotionally prepare for disappointment. They crave change, yet remain loyal to familiar discomfort. They imagine success, while their body stays tight, guarded, alert. These contradictions do not add power. They neutralize it. Neuroscience explains why this pattern is so persistent. The brain evolved to keep you alive, not to make you fulfilled. When something new is desired, the brain scans for threat. If the nervous system is not regulated, novelty registers as danger. That interpretation immediately activates stress responses, and stress pulls the system out of coherence. This is why manifestation feels slow during anxiety, pressure, or urgency. The brain is not permitting reality to reorganize because it does not feel safe enough to release prediction. Prediction is how the brain maintains control. Control is how it believes survival is secured. Instant response only becomes possible when prediction loosens its grip. When the nervous system settles, the brain no longer needs to rehearse the future. It stops dragging the past forward, and when that projection dissolves, perception opens. You begin noticing paths that were previously invisible. You respond differently to the same environment. You choose without spiraling into analysis. From the outside, this looks like coincidence. From the inside, it feels obvious. Quantum manifestation is not about sending instructions outward. You are already transmitting continuously. The only question is whether that transmission is clear. Clarity does not come from emotional intensity. It comes from alignment. Alignment happens when thought, emotion, and bodily state agree, not elevated, aligned. This is why calm is so powerful. Calm removes interference. Calm stabilizes the signal. Calm communicates that nothing needs defending against. And when nothing needs defending against, reality reorganizes with ease. This is often misunderstood. People assume alignment means suppressing desire or flattening emotion, but suppression creates tension, and tension creates noise. Alignment allows desire to exist without contraction. You can want something deeply and still be relaxed about its arrival. That combination is rare, and it is potent. Urgency, on the other hand, slows everything down. Urgency implies absence. It declares that something is missing now. Reality mirrors that declaration by extending the experience of not yet. When urgency dissolves, the signal shifts. From "I need this to feel whole" to "nothing inside me is unstable." When that shift occurs, response often feels immediate. A message arrives, a conversation unfolds, a decision resolves itself. Not because you forced it, but because the internal condition-blocking response no longer exists. Spiritually, this has always been called faith, not blind belief, embodied certainty, the kind that does not seek reassurance, the kind that does not scan constantly for proof, the kind that rests. Neuroscience calls this parasympathetic dominance. The body exits fight or flight and enters regulation. In this state, perception widens, creativity increases, adaptability returns. All the conditions required for rapid change become available. This is the real mechanism behind manifestation that feels instant. Not repetition, not obsession, not intensity, but the absence of internal contradiction. When nothing inside you is pulling in the opposite direction, reality encounters no resistance. There is nothing to negotiate, nothing to resolve. And when nothing needs resolution, response appears immediate. This is not magic, it is coherence. What most people never realize is this: manifestation does not begin in the mind, it begins in the body. The body decides first whether a reality is allowed to occur. The mind only explains it afterward. This is why affirmations fail, why visualizations stall, why intentions dissolve. Because the nervous system is not aligned with the idea. Neurologically, the nervous system is the gatekeeper. It decides whether expansion feels safe or threatening. If expansion feels unsafe, the system contracts. Muscles tighten, breathing shortens, attention narrows. The brain shifts into prediction mode, scanning for what could go wrong. In that state, instant manifestation is impossible. Not because reality is slow, but because the body is bracing. Quantum coherence requires openness, and a system that is bracing cannot be opened by nature. This is why two people can speak the same words, hold the same intention, and imagine the same outcome, yet experience entirely different results. One is internally settled, the other is quietly defending. The field responds to the one who is regulated, not because of belief, but because their signal moves without obstruction. Stress fractures perception. Under chronic stress, the brain locks into fast, narrow processing. Thoughts accelerate. Time feels compressed. Patience evaporates. Everything carries urgency. This state cannot transmit a clean signal. The body is broadcasting threat. Even if the mind is rehearsing a better future, the field mirrors the contradiction exactly. When the nervous system regulates, the opposite shift occurs. The brain slows into expansive states. Perception widens. Creativity returns. Time loosens its grip. This is not metaphorical language. It is observable neurological activity. In these states, the observer stops interfering with probability itself, which is why manifestation often appears right after someone stops trying. Not because they gave up, but because their system finally softened. The body stopped guarding, the signal stabilized. Instant response never comes from pushing intention outward. It emerges when the internal brake is released. Most people assume resistance lives in doubt, but resistance is older than thought. It lives in posture, in breath that never fully drops, in muscles that stay ready, in emotional reflexes that flinch before awareness arrives. You can consciously believe in expansion while your body unconsciously rejects it, and the field listens to the body. This is why someone can speak abundance fluently while continually recreating lack. Their nervous system is calibrated to scarcity. Scarcity feels known. Expansion feels unsafe. The body resists before the mind can object. When that calibration shifts, manifestation speed changes dramatically. Neuroscience shows that once safety is embodied, behavior reorganizes on its own. Speech softens. Pauses replace rushing. Explanations shorten. Movement happens only when clarity appears, not to relieve tension. These shifts seem subtle, but they transform the signal entirely. From a quantum perspective, this is coherence becoming dominant. Thought, emotion, and physiology synchronize. The observer stabilizes, and stability is what allows probability to collapse cleanly. This is why instant manifestation rarely feels emotional. It feels neutral, calm, almost uneventful. There is no surge of excitement, no desperate hope, no dramatic anticipation, only a quiet sense that something is already settled. That neutrality is not indifference, it is integration. Spiritually, this state has never been described as belief, or even faith. It has been called knowing. Knowing does not vibrate loudly. It does not search for confirmation. It does not scan for signs. It rests. And the moment you rest internally, reality stops pushing back. This is also why trying to manifest instantly often produces the opposite effect. The desire for speed introduces pressure. Pressure tightens the system. Tightening reintroduces delay. Reality moves quickly only when the body feels safe enough to allow it. So the paradox reveals itself. The more urgently you want speed, the slower everything feels. The more you release the demand for speed, the faster response becomes possible. Instant manifestation is not about commanding reality. It is about becoming internally non-resistant. When the body no longer braces against change, the field no longer needs to slow down to accommodate fear. This is the true mechanism behind experiences that sound miraculous. The miracle is not the outcome. The miracle is regulation, and regulation is learnable. Once you understand that your nervous system is the real interface with the quantum field, everything shifts. Manifestation stops being mystical. At this point, manifestation stops being philosophical. It becomes physiological, and physiology can be trained. When the body feels genuinely safe in the presence of what you desire, reality has no reason to hesitate. There is a precise internal shift where manifestation moves from effort into inevitability. It does not announce itself with emotion. It does not arrive with excitement or relief. It arrives when friction disappears. You stop debating reality. You stop negotiating with timing. You stop checking for evidence. That silence is not emptiness, it is alignment. From a quantum perspective, this is the moment resistance falls below a critical threshold. Conflicting signals dissolve. Thought, emotion, and bodily state synchronize. The signal becomes singular. And when the signal is singular, probability collapses without delay. Most people never remain in this state for long. The moment things grow quiet, interference returns. Silence feels unfamiliar. Calm feels suspicious. A nervous system conditioned by effort mistakes neutrality for stagnation. It confuses urgency with progress. So it intervenes again, not dramatically, subtly, checking, wondering, replaying scenarios, tightening the body without noticing. Each micro-movement fragments the signal just enough to slow response. Neuroscience explains why this happens. Uncertainty triggers the brain's need for control. Control activates prediction loops. Prediction pulls attention backward. And the moment attention anchors in the past, the future reorganizes into familiar patterns. Instant manifestation requires the opposite orientation. It requires allowing uncertainty without trying to stabilize it mentally. When the nervous system remains regulated in the presence of uncertainty, prediction dissolves. When prediction dissolves, perception opens. And when perception opens, reality reorganizes quickly. This is why the most effective manifestors do not appear intense. They appear detached from outcome while remaining deeply loyal to their internal state. They do not chase signs. They do not rehearse explanations. They do not emotionally prepare for failure. Their body is already living as though the outcome is safe. That safety is the key. The field responds immediately to signals that do not require protection. Protection implies threat. Threat slows response. Safety accelerates it. Spiritually, this is what surrender actually means. Not abandoning desire, but releasing opposition to it. Desire remains, intention remains. But the emotional charge dissolves. And when charge dissolves, time collapses. This is also why manifestation often feels anticlimactic. There is no rush, no spike of relief, just a quiet sense of course. The outcome fits so seamlessly into your internal state that it barely registers as a victory. That lack of emotional reaction confuses people. They expect transformation to feel dramatic. But drama signals instability. Stability is quiet. Neurologically, this is parasympathetic dominance. Breathing deepens. Muscle tone softens. Attention widens. In this state, the brain integrates information faster. Decisions clarify. Adaptation accelerates. Reality appears cooperative because you are no longer resisting it. This is why manifestation speeds up when you care less about the result. Not because desire disappears, but because desire is no longer charged with lack. Wanting transforms into preference. Preference is open. Need is constricted. The quantum field responds immediately to openness. This is why people say it happened when I stopped trying, or the moment I let go, it showed up. These statements are not mystical. They describe a measurable internal shift. Resistance dropped away, and once resistance is gone, nothing delays response. Reality does not obey force. It responds to coherence, and coherence cannot be rushed. It can only be allowed. When interference ends, the field completes the process. There is a paradox at the center of manifestation that most people resist at first. The less you need something to happen, the faster reality reorganizes. This feels counterintuitive because need has been confused with desire. But they are not the same. Energetically, neurologically, physiologically. Need contracts the system. Desire provides direction. When an outcome feels essential, the body tightens. Attention narrows. The mind scans for confirmation. Even if belief is verbalized, urgency is broadcast. And urgency is interpreted by the field as instability. Instability is compensated for, not responded to quickly. From a quantum perspective, attachment introduces interference. The observer is no longer observing. They are emotionally manipulating probability. That manipulation creates noise. Noise slows collapse. This is why the strongest manifestations often arrive after desire softens into acceptance. Not resignation, acceptance. The internal state shifts from "I need this to be okay" to "I am okay whether this arrives now or later." That shift cleans the signal instantly. Neuroscience mirrors this with precision. When the brain perceives something as essential for emotional survival, threat circuitry activates, stress hormones rise, muscles contract, breathing becomes shallow, and in that state, speed is impossible. When the system enters protection mode, everything narrows, perception tightens, flexibility drops. The brain becomes conservative. It clings to what is familiar, not because it is optimal, but because it feels predictable. When an outcome is no longer tied to emotional survival, the opposite shift occurs. The nervous system relaxes, neurochemistry regulates naturally. The brain opens to novelty, decisions soften, adaptation becomes fluid. From the outside, this can look like reality suddenly accelerating, but nothing actually sped up. Resistance dissolved. Spiritually, this is what Neville Goddard meant by assuming the state, not pretending the wish is fulfilled, but removing the emotional distance between now and then. In that state, there is no longing, only quiet ownership. Ownership carries no urgency. This is also why manifestation is often disrupted by constant checking. Checking is not awareness. It is attachment asking for reassurance. Reassurance implies doubt. The field responds by maintaining the condition that produces checking. When checking stops, something subtle but profound happens. Attention returns to the present. The body softens. The signal stabilizes. And probability reorganizes with surprising ease. This does not mean caring disappears. It means gripping ends. Caring without gripping is alignment. Gripping without caring is fear. The field distinguishes between the two immediately. From a quantum perspective, non-interference is the most powerful stance an observer can take. When emotional manipulation ends, the system self-organizes optimally. This is why reality often seems to snap into place when attachment falls away. Manifestation cannot be forced through discipline alone. Discipline can shape behavior. It cannot dissolve emotional charge. In some cases, discipline reinforces attachment by reinforcing the belief that effort equals worth. The real shift is not doing more. It is wanting less emotionally, not less desire, less necessity. When wanting transforms from need into preference, speed increases naturally. There is no longer a gap between internal state and external outcome, and without a gap, there is nothing for time to stretch. This is why people experiencing rapid manifestation often say things like, "I had already moved on," or "I didn't even care anymore." They did not abandon desire. They released attachment. Attachment binds probability to delay. Detachment frees it. Detachment is not coldness. It is trust embodied in the nervous system. Trust that does not require proof. Trust that does not seek control. Trust that allows reality to respond without resistance. When you stop needing reality to obey, it begins to cooperate effortlessly. Eventually, it becomes clear that manifestation was never about commanding reality. It was about becoming the version of yourself reality can respond to without friction. This realization changes your relationship with desire completely. You stop activating. You stop performing alignment. You stop monitoring results. And in that absence of effort, something settles. From a quantum perspective, this is when the observer and the observed are no longer in conflict. There is no internal debate about timing, no emotional bargaining, no mental rehearsal. The signal is complete. And because it is complete, it does not need reinforcement. This is why response feels instant. Not because time collapses, but because nothing inside you is slowing it anymore. Neuroscience calls this integration. The nervous system has accepted the desired state as safe, familiar, and non-threatening. There is no surge of excitement, because excitement would signal instability. There is no rush of relief, because relief would imply prior tension. What remains is neutrality, not indifference, presence. This state is deeply misunderstood. Many interpret it as losing interest or losing faith. In truth, it is the absence of internal opposition. The body is no longer arguing with the future. And when the body stops arguing, the brain stops predicting failure. At this level, action becomes clean. Movement happens when it is obvious. Pausing feels natural. There is no second-guessing intuition, no anxiety around silence. Decisions feel light. Timing feels precise. Reality feels cooperative. Not because it changed, but because you did. Spiritually, this is what mystics meant by effortlessness. Not that nothing is done, but that nothing unnecessary is done. You are no longer proving alignment. You are living it. This is where manifestation stops feeling like a technique and begins to feel like a byproduct. You are not using the field. You are interacting with it as a coherent observer. And coherence does not require maintenance. It requires allowance. At this stage, the challenge is no longer creating results. It is stabilizing the state. Old impulses may surface. Urgency may whisper. The urge to check or accelerate may return. These are not failures. They are echoes of a former identity. Awareness allows them to pass without reactivating resistance. This is why stabilization matters more than speed. A manifestation that arrives instantly but destabilizes you, pulls you back into delay. A manifestation that arrives from coherence holds. This was always the point. Reality never needed persuasion. It only required you to stop contradicting yourself internally. When that contradiction dissolves, response feels instant, because nothing is in the way. You do not manifest through force, you manifest through coherence. And when coherence is stable, reality does not need to obey, it aligns.